Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and today we are building a craftsman style home in the world of Copperdale. So this lot can sleep 2 parents, 1 teen, 2 children and 1 dog. So you can imagine that this lot is pretty spacious. I built this on a 30 by 30, which I think was previously occupied by, I want to say, the high school principal's family. It was in a colonial style, but of course I had to bulldoze it to make room for my house. But yeah, this ended up totaling around 100,000 simoleons, so I guess this is where I go back to building expensive houses. But to be fair, it only gets expensive when you're trying to make the house look pretty, and it feels like all the pretty things are a bit costly. So is it really my fault it's expensive, or is the game pricing just weird? But anyways, if you want to download this lot, it is available on the gallery under my ID caitom, or you can find tray files on my Patreon with mirror links to some file share. And of course, all of those details will be available in the description. So this house, despite its seemingly small stature right now, took me around 3.5 hours to build. And that's like over the course of 2 days, because time management is a little questionable for me. But I did try to clutter each individual space, and I don't know if that contributed to the slight lag I was facing while I was building this, or if it was just because I had reshade on, plus OBS running, plus me playing the game, of course. But I would like to think that my clutter is not so much that it lags the game. So maybe I just need an upgrade or something. I don't know. Oh, but speaking of, I recently tried to install an SSD into my computer, but I tried to slot it in only to realize there is a cord right beneath where it would go that is just slightly too large, so it's like in the way of me putting the SSD onto my motherboard or whatever. And when I tell you I was devastated, I was really looking forward to releasing slightly better quality speed builds, because although I don't watch all the footage back, I do see that whenever the camera moves really quickly, it gets a little pixelated, and that is a problem that should not be there. But I guess we're just gonna have to deal with the occasional, pixels. I mean, I think for this build, I tried to move a little bit slower, just so whenever I speed up the footage, or whenever OBS is recording my screen, it's not so bad. But yeah, so right now, I'm finally working on the landscaping, and the whole exterior took me a bit to kind of get together, but I did find a picture on Pinterest. It was in the same color, I think, but it had white windows, but it was still like a gray, or a light gray craftsman style house that had white windows, and it was in a similar shape to this. But looking at it now, I think my house is it looks like a cube with bump outs only on the front and back, and that's something I wanted to try and kind of move away from and start building more dynamic shells. But it has come to the point where all of my inspirations for builds come from Pinterest homes, and real houses, they only look pretty on the front and maybe on the back. So I'll have to work on that. So most of the landscaping is like actual landscaping, but of course I wanted to debug and grab some flowers, some rocks, and that's like pretty much it. I also ended up lining the whole lot with those long base game bushes, just so the lot feels a bit more full, because I know when I landscape it can feel a bit empty. So hopefully that mitigates that little issue. And we are now working on the interior. So I did end up cutting out footage of the floor plan just because I know it changes multiple times as I'm furnishing the house. And also I realized I don't include floor plan pictures at the end of my speed builds, And I don't know if I should start doing that, or because I already post them on Instagram, but I can start posting them on like the community tab, or just keeping them in with the screenshots. So let me know which you prefer. But yeah, so the gray scale, no, not the gray scale, the gray color scheme kind of continues on into the exterior despite the very warm toned woods that I have on the floor. I don't know what really inspired me to do that. Maybe I was just thinking about the windows and how they are a dark brown against that wood on the exterior. So yeah, I do end up using those Parenthood counters, which has those gray colored woods and a sort of warm toned counter. Hopefully it kind of makes sense as I continue to furnish the build. But yeah, the kitchen slash dining, gray, light woods, and also dark woods. I mean, I will say that it looks cohesive, or like cohesive enough to not feel as jarring as you move from room to room. But yeah, also I want to mention that the dining table, I only have 4 chairs on it, and the house that I imagine, sorry, not the house, the family that I imagine would be living here consists of 5 people. So hopefully that's not too much of a problem. Maybe one of the kids likes to eat in their room and the parents are like, well, okay, that's fine, you're probably busy with homework or something. But yeah, there's also an outdoor dining set that you can eat with the whole family, and there are also couches too. And speaking of the couches, I think this is where I started to introduce the color blue into the build. So the kitchen is more like that light, I want to say brown or orange sepia, like a light sepia with gray and that dark brown wood. And I mean, I guess after that I start diving into more colors just so the house doesn't look as monochrome as I guess it could look like. But yeah, anyways, the living room, as you can see, is pretty simple. I use a Desert Luxe couch and that blue swatch, and can I just say I love that blue swatch. And as for the armchairs, I think they're called, that is actually from the Paranormal stuff pack. Really good armchairs, by the way. I didn't expect them to fit so well with all of the couches that don't really have a matching armchair like the Desert Luxe one. But I mean, I think it looks fine. It kind of ties in the pillows that are on the couch itself. And one more thing about the living room, as I'm trying to figure out where I can fit a TV. I actually don't have a TV in this build, but I do end up having like 3 different computers. So hopefully that kind of substitutes for a TV. Where I would put the TV, I actually ended up putting a music device, a radio. I don't know the name of the actual item, but it's right beside the plant that you see there on the right side. I don't usually add those music items in my builds ever. It's usually an afterthought, but I assume that since I couldn't put a TV, I could at least have something that plays music. And that just means while your sim is eating or doing something on the computer, they can have music to listen to and kind of fill their fun need as well as their hunger need. Oh, and one thing I should mention is that this house has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. The first bathroom is on the first floor. It's not included in the footage because I had to cut a lot of it out. But yeah, it's like right next to the living room where there aren't any couches. So it's a full bath. It has a toilet shower, sorry, not a toilet shower, a tub shower combo with, you know, of course, a toilet, sink, and all that. But yeah, right here is the first of 3 computers that are included in this build. Saying it out loud now, it seems a bit excessive, but maybe this is like a family computer that the teen uses, or the other child, or the other parent, because there is a laptop in the child's bedroom and I think another computer in the parents' bedroom. Maybe the jobs that these people do require a lot of online work or something. And speaking of jobs, I didn't really consider much thought about the jobs of the people here. I do end up including a Discover University robot workstation, as well as the the workbench, the work table, in the garage, which comes at the end of the video, but I guess it doesn't really coincide with the amount of computers in here. Or maybe they just take commissions to build things. I don't know. There's like a whole bunch of stuff here that doesn't really correlate to maybe like one singular idea, but it just means there's a bunch of things you can do to form a story or whatnot. But yeah, right over here is the second computer, which is in the parents' bedroom. And speaking of the parents' bedroom, I know I cut some footage out, but that is mainly because after I finish furnishing this, I do end up switching it over to the room next to it and kind of reworking the floor plan. So you'll see that like right here. And that's mainly because the ensuite bathroom was a lot smaller than the 8-tile ensuite that you see right where the 3 windows are. And you know, if it's the master bedroom or like the primary bedroom, of course the parents need like the best or something. And also that desk placement, I was playtesting this build before I uploaded it to the gallery, and for some reason your sim couldn't navigate their way through the office chair and the bed for some reason to kind of get to the right side of the bed where the wardrobe is. And I don't know why that is, so I do end up changing the placement right next to the door of the ensuite. So yeah. And another thing about playtesting, I thought you could place a bed just kind of not really slotted underneath a bunk bed and it would still function. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So of course I changed that too. Yeah, had I not playtested this, it would not be functional. So now I'm just questioning how many builds of mine aren't functional. But I haven't really seen anyone comment that it wasn't, so hopefully y'all aren't running into any issues. And right over here is the third and final computer in the form of a laptop in the child's bedroom. You'd think I put it in the teen's bedroom, but no. I think most of my inspiration from like this little desk space came from, I want to say, Lil Simsy's Legacy Challenge, when she had those triplets when they were young and 2 of them shared a room. I think it was the sisters. But yeah, I thought it was really cute to kind of clutter up this huge desk, and you know, it kind of makes sense for them to share a long desk rather than have 2 individual ones. Also, it saves me some space and money because I don't think I could fit 2 desks in here. Like, it's not physically possible unless I was using the 1-tile one, but I think those are a bit small and not really in the style that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I put some gaming posters from City Living on the wall, so maybe one of the siblings here is a gamer, and that's why they have a laptop as like their beginning career into games. And right here is the last bedroom, which belongs to the teen. So because I built this in the world of Copperdale, I was thinking that maybe the teen here was into cheerleading or some sort of athletics. And I think I do end up placing a cheer mat somewhere in the build. I think in the backyard. Probably in the backyard because I don't know why they would have it inside. But yeah. And I just want to give a mention to that wallpaper I used as like a feature wall. So that comes from the Paranormal stuff pack, and I think all of those swatches are super gorgeous. I might even go on to say that it's like one of my favorite wallpapers, and I haven't yet figured out how to, well, not how, just like the kind of style I want a house to be in order to use that on all walls. I have tried like 2 times before, not that it's on the gallery, but they're both like tiny houses, and it's in a very, not really a very, but sort of rundown style. I think the other build I did for that wallpaper was a sort of small build in the middle of these tall buildings, mainly inspired by the Willoughbys on Netflix. Not that it looks like that, but just like a concept. But yeah, enough about that. Let's talk about the backyard. So right here is the full dining table that I did mention earlier. I leave it on this sort of porch area or patio. I don't know, I always forget the distinction between a porch and a patio. But I also end up keeping a grill on here as well as a bar, just because those items I want to say I don't usually find like a decent spot for them, and I just kind of stick them wherever in the backyard. But I guess this has a bit more structure, or the layout makes a bit more sense compared to some of the other ones that I have. But I suppose I wouldn't really explain why I had such a hard time deciding the layout for literally everything else. But before I go on about that, I just want to point out that there is a sort of second floor patio that you can see right above the bar. I wanted to make use of the high school years window, the one where your teens can sneak out of. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called like easy exit window or something. So I wanted to make use of that, although I don't know how often your sim will actually sneak through that window. It definitely works. I have play tested that. And your sim can go up and down the ladder and all that. There's like some furniture items, just so it looks like a teen spot, a teen hideout or whatever. So I just wanted to put that out there, that is a feature for this build. So as for the backyard, you can probably see me fiddling with the tile. So the tile that I'm using is from the Desert Luxe kit, and I saw someone do this in a different speed build, but they kind of shifted the tile placement so it looks like a different pattern, and I thought that was so genius and clever that I wanted to do it in one of my future builds. So this is the future build in question or whatever. But yeah, the backyard, I decided to include a pool, a hot tub, and a very large sand pit. So I include a jungle gym, a jungle monkey bars, jungle gym, I think monkey bars for the children, and a cheerleading mat for the teen. And right over there is actually fake towels that maybe the Sims here would enjoy, because they have a very large sand pit. You know, I'm sure they can make a bunch of sand castles if you have island living, and I don't have that island living pack, so I can't actually make sand castles or include beach towels. But I found a few debug items that kind of seem similar. And right over here is the path that I decided to include, both from the entrance of the backyard onto the actual tile, and from the tile to the garage. And so here we are in the last room of this build. So for the garage, I decided to not make it a bedroom, just because I thought I could go back to my roots and just make it a skill room, as I'm sure a lot of people do. So this is where I included that Discover University robot workstation, and also that workbench that I can't seem to remember the name of, but whatever. Yeah, there's really not much else to it. I include this Werewolves rug just because it makes sense to have something a bit more worn down or worn out in a garage that includes a lot of woodworking and tinkering around. But beside a few more debug items and some planter boxes, we are pretty much done with the build. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video and would like to see more, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Of course, if you want to download this build, it'll be up on the gallery under my ID. Tray files and details are in the description box below. Thank you again for chatting with me, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.